Hey, welcome back. Another hotel room lesson today. So today something to check out is one of my favorite little tricks to use, which is sliding octaves around. And the basis that you can't live without for this is the one string major scale that I bring up quite a bit in these lessons. Right, so real quick, just to refresh, let's say we were here on this G, which is 5th fret D string, that's G, and one string major scale, no matter where you take it from, would be 1, whole step to 2, whole step to 3, half step to 4, whole step to 5, whole step to 6, whole step to 7, and half step to 8, or technically back to 1 again. So that's a G major scale going up that one string. Now, to add in these octaves, right, if we're here, an octave that we can grab would be here. So pinky on the 8th fret of the B string. These are both the same exact note. These are both G. One's low, one's high. So whether you pluck them, or pick one, pick the other, or pluck with another finger, whatever method you use to deliver it, those will be octaves. So if we follow up that same scale that we did before, but let this tag along for the ride, that gives us our octaves. So the trick that I like to use when I do this, it could be picked, like I said, or whatever way you like to do it. I do like to pick the top note and then often pluck or hybrid pick with my middle finger the higher note, in this case on the B string. So for example, like that. And what happens here is we can slide as we do that to any of those spots that were in the scale. For example, so that was low note, high note, slide to note 2, back to the low note. So it's a pretty cool trick. Whether you go straight up and down the scale to start or just skip around between a couple notes. A lot of cool, interesting lines can come out of this. But and you could always do high note first, low note second, but as a good exercise to get going, right? The idea would be low, high, slide, low, high, slide, low, high, half step to note 4, 5, 6, 7, and half step back to home base. So that's one of my favorite little tricks to do when I'm soloing, which often looks like a lot more than it really is. It's really just a one string major scale with an octave kind of tagging along, but it can look and sound pretty cool. And the other thing I should point out too is when I was just doing that now, I was doing this, and I was lifting and dropping to keep the notes very separated. However, you could hold the whole shape down too and let them ring together if that's what you'd like to hear. So that's all just ringing together, never actually letting go, as opposed to separating the notes, lifting and dropping the fingers. Now, once this idea feels really good, it doesn't have to only be on that set of strings, right? So let's say I was on the same fret, but on the G string, and a higher octave on the E string. So now I have a C and a C, so I could do a C scale. If you decide to try this on lower strings, like let's say the A string and G string, it's no longer an octave shape like this with the pinky. It would be the third finger. So you'd have this. And same thing if you went to low E and D string. Same, finger 1, finger 3, whole step apart. I'm sorry. So the sliding octave trick is really cool. Whichever way you kind of decide to like picking it, whether you do the hybrid picking or just pick the low note, pick the high note, pluck at the same time with 2 fingers. Lots of possibilities for how you can deliver the scale. But like I said originally, great way to start is to pick one, maybe like the one I started with, D string and B string, and to go straight up the scale. Low, high, whole step to 2. Low, high, whole step to 3. Half step to 4. 5, 6, 7, half step, back to 1 or 8, home base, whichever way you like to think of it. And one little bonus thing too, right? If you're on note 1, right, you could think of that as note 8. You could kind of think of it as the last note. Half step back to 7, back to 6, even back to 5, in this case with an open string. So you always can get a little out of the actual box too and go backwards if you have some frets to work with, which will depend on what key you're in. But that is the idea behind the sliding octaves. Give it a shot.